Back at Seward Park for another week of the Seward Park 530 Criterium. This was a week that I was kind of nervous about because I missed the last week with COVID, and my recovery and sort of bounce back from being sick for a week was imperfect, and I wasn't sure exactly where my form was, so I was kind of nervous that I wasn't going to be able to have good results this week. So I definitely wasn't planning on attacking super hard, controlling the group or anything, or even going for preems necessarily. But luckily I have several teammates in the race with me. It's mostly the usual gang. We've got our teammate Matt up in front in the screen right now with the yellow socks. And then Mark is somewhere behind me. He's got a blue helmet and rides a Bianchi. And then, of course, Bailey, who was on screen for a second right at the beginning, also has the same white helmet as Matt and is riding a blue BMC this week. And then for other folks to look out for in the race, it's mostly the regulars, the regular group of hitters. We've got a couple of ACT guys, Jeremy and Andrew, a couple of Organic Gnar Harvest guys, Alan and Nigel in the purple jerseys somewhere to the back, and then Chris on Dyna Racing, who is still in second place behind me for the series overall. He's 8 points behind me, and so he's definitely someone I'm keeping an eye out on. I don't want to let him, take a bunch of free points on me because I'm, coming back from illness here. So I'm going to do everything that I can to avoid that. And other than that, there's not a ton really in my head. I was just trying to... Oh, and then there's this guy here, actually, who just went around the left. I don't know his name. He just showed up like a month or two ago, and he's quite a hitter. He seems like he's a triathlete. Seems from his bike setup. One week he had sort of triathlete like bottle cages on the back of his seat post. And he likes to attack from really far out. He likes to go off solo or in a small group and be off solo for basically the entirety of the race. I'm not super concerned about that because quite frankly, I don't really care if a breakaway wins as long as I can get a point or two on Chris. That's my priority. I wasn't feeling totally confident in my ability to just outright win this race this week. Because like I said, I just didn't know where my fitness was. So I'm just going to be surfing wheels, making sure I stay near the front of the group so I can monitor what's going on. And I believe that right here it might be a lap up. Yeah, so a couple guys are starting to probe their way off the front. It was that guy that I called out who's the triathlete guy with the super deep dish wheels, and then a couple of other guys. I don't really like moves going off the front without a member of our team in them, but I'm not going to be the one to go into that move personally because, like I said, just not going to want to expend a ton of energy. Luckily for me, I don't know if it happens right here or not, but it might be that we bring this little break back and then another one goes. But in a lap or two, a break of 4 is going to go with my teammate Mark in it, which is kind of the ideal situation for us because Mark is definitely strong enough to contest for the win out of a small group in the break, and we have numbers obviously, but if we've got someone in a 4-man break up ahead, it's not our responsibility to chase. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. So right about here you can kind of see Mark's putting in a pretty big dig to try and bridge up to these guys, and Bailey and Matt did basically exactly what they should in this situation, which is go to the front and then just basically sit up. in order to let Mark bridge across. This obviously, I mean, it's really hard to tell if a group that's just a couple seconds ahead here is going to actually work together. From what Mark told us after the race, it sounds like the break really didn't want to work. It was kind of just Mark and one other guy out of this. Right now, 5-man, but I think eventually it's a 4-man break, who were willing to work. But I'm telling my teammate Matt right now to just crystal crank if he's on the front, to just go to the front and then totally sit up, because I would, like I said earlier, I would like this break to get a little lead going here. This right in front of me right now is Chris from Dyna Racing, who's putting in some energy to chase this break back. So this is kind of an ideal situation for us. I feel like we played this really well with some sort of team tactics as much as you can in a 4-5 race. And I just told my brother, who is sitting on the corner there taking a video, to tell Mark that he should be willing to work in the break, because the more we can make other people try to chase this down, the better for us. So yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna sit near the front and make sure that no one else is trying to bridge up to this break, and make sure that Matt and I, if given the opportunity, will pull through and then just totally sit up. So just gonna make sure that we're doing that and giving Mark as much of a chance as possible, because we don't know from back here that they're not really working in the break. As a matter of fact, it seems like they kind of are, because they've gained a decent amount of time, a couple seconds here in one lap, which is pretty good, especially with the draft benefit on the descent, and this false flat for the bigger group behind is so huge. But yeah, they've got a couple seconds ahead. This rider up in front of us, I believe, is maybe a dropped rider from the break, so now it's a 4-man break. So I'm kind of yelling at Matt to go even lighter than he is here, because ideally it looks like you're going fast enough that the whole group doesn't come over you. If a couple people come over you, that's fine. I don't really care about that, but I don't want to get shuffled back to the end of the group. So I want Matt to make sure that it looks like he's doing some work, but not actually be doing any work. I don't want him to be burning basically any actual energy here. And the two of us just sitting at the front like this, I'm super happy with this. I'm in a perfect position to respond to any counterattacks, and Matt is ideally not using really any energy, although he did kind of sprint out of this corner. But yeah, I want to let Mark go up the road if possible, because my expectation is that they'll get brought back, but I want to make sure that someone else has to do the work to do so. I'm even going to do what I'm doing here, which is basically let little gaps open up to Matt and then make other people do the work of chasing that down. Just anything that I can do to get a little bit of extra energy out of the legs of other guys in this race, I'm going to take full advantage of. I was really feeling very confident with how we were placed here, and just making sure that I'm right here keeping an eye on, if these guys are actually trying to go off the front and bridge up to that break, maybe we don't want a 6-man break, but I don't think that's super likely, so I just slot right in on their wheel, and again, we're just using as little energy as possible. So here's maybe the only mistake that we made this race is, as my brother just said from the sidelines there, the sole leader is off the front by 9 seconds. I am pretty pot committed to this strategy of kind of racing like a jerk and making other people chase it down. But I was also feeling pretty good at this point and like maybe should have put in one turn on the front or tried to rally my team to put in a turn on the front. Because spoiler alert, the guy off the front almost gets caught at the last second. But yeah, I should have like asked Mark right here if he had a pull in him and just had him keep the price, or keep the not the price, keep the speed up. I don't really like getting pushed this far back in the group, but Chris very helpfully moves himself up, and I'm just going to use him to move me right back up. So not a ton of concern here. I want to make sure that I'm sort of, you know, like 5th to 8th wheel, but I know that I can make up a couple positions up the hill here without too much effort going into this last lap. So feeling pretty strong about this position. And like I said earlier, you know, my priority was never to chase that guy back. I wasn't really in my head necessarily going for the win this week as much as I am usually, but I maybe should have been a little more. Anyway, we're in great position. Mark, Bailey, and I are all in the first 10 or maybe 12 wheels here. I'm right on Chris's wheel, so I can, you know, make sure I'm keeping an eye on him. Just making sure everyone knows where I am. And yeah, we're feeling pretty good. I can tell Bailey has pretty good legs. You know, he's pushing it to stay up near the front of the group here. Like I said, you know, I'm not really worried. I know that going down this hill, you can make up quite a couple wheels. Even on the last lap in the 5:30, people are not pushing super hard on the false flat because they don't want to, like, you know, burn their matches super early. But that being said, I definitely want to use Chris's wheel here. You can see he's thinking the same thing I am, which is, let's move up just a couple wheels before the hill here. And he actually starts he starts pushing pretty hard. I think he found himself in the wind and thought, all right, well, I gotta go now. But he's sort of just leading me out here. He went for, I mean, this is an attack at this point. You know, I was doing 600, almost 700 watts just to stay in his draft. And so I'm like, well, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to just hammer it at the base of the hill and drop this guy. So I'm just pushing it all the way up this hill. I did drop Chris. I look back, and Bailey's on my wheel. That's him yelling there, keep going. I looked back one more time to try and make sure that we had dropped Chris, and then flicked Bailey through. And then I just didn't really sprint against Bailey. Oh man, this is so close. I mean, it's like a bike length, like 5 yards more, and Bailey would have caught that guy from the break. But Bailey got second, I got third. Feeling super good about that result.